Hi guys, thanks for clicking on the link. Today I'm going to show you how to put one of these boxes together. Hopefully it'll make life a lot easier for you. We just need three things to do it: electric screwdriver or screwdriver, tape measure and trusted tri-square. What I'm going to do now is unbox a pack for you, show you all the bits and the bobs on the top, and then we'll have a look at how we can put them together. Bear with me a second, I'll see you in a second. Okay, I'm going to move my camera around here a bit so you can see what we've got here. So we've got the two sides and there's 10 of the screws. You've got two sets of screws in there. Obviously the larger screws are for actually building it together. So there's 10 screws on there, 10 screws on there, that's your two sides. Then we have our feet. There's 5 of those ready to be attached a little bit later on. And then we've got the set of 4 screws for each one just down by here. Okay, as you'll see on the actual front and back, I put a little F on the top here, and we have a little B on the back there. So that's for the back and front panel. Okay, it's quite important a little bit later on. You can tell the front and back panels because they've got the 3 supports here, here and here. Okay, then we've got the 4 handles, which we're going to put up here for later. I'll come back to those. And there's your lid there. You'll see the hinges are already attached to the lid already. So you can tell, again, the lid, because you've got the 4 supports straight through here. And I very carefully and very cleverly put an L for lid there. There's a set of the small screws. You receive 6 in your pack. They're for screwing the hinge on, so we'll deal with those a little bit later on. So what we want to do now, first of all, before we start off, which is clear these screws out of the way, what I'd like to do is actually place these screws in here first before we start to build. So we're just going to pop these in here, just screwing them down by hand so they're already started. So that is not too much problems at all. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to pause for a second. I'll get all those put in. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my feet and I'm going to place the screws ready in these for a second. Again, it's 4 screws, and then we just pop them in like that. What we need to make sure with the actual feet, you'll see that where they've been dipped and they've been racked, there's a little mark on top here. So you want the screws to go in on the top here, because they are actually going to be, so that's the bit you're going to see in the box, which is a much cleaner finish to it. Okay, so have a look at your feet. You've got the 5 feet. And you'll see all of them have got a little bit of marking, water marking. That's the side you put the screws in. Then we can see on there and on there. Okay, so I'm going to go and prepare all that now ready, and I'll come back to you now in a second. Thank you. Okay, great. So welcome back. As you can see now, I've got all the screws in place, ready to rock and roll to build our recycling bed chop. I've got the feet already up here, all with the screws in. We've got the watermark there, so it's going to post a nice one up. And then we've got the handles there, which we'll come to in a minute. Okay, so the first thing I want to point out to you is if you look at the sides, on the front like that, it's absolutely flush, the support. But if you look at the back, here, it's a little bit off, okay? So from that, the flush side is going to be the top. Okay, and that's the same with the front. If you look there, it's flush, and then if you look at the back, at the bottom of it, it's got that little bit of a dip. Okay, so don't forget, we're going to be building this box upside down. So this is the side that we want to be facing down, the front, and then we've got the back with that bit there. We want that to be the bottom when we're building, but I'll explain a little bit more as we're going along here now. Just makes it a lot easier in a minute now to put the feet on. Okay, so I'm just going to pop this out of the way for a second. I'm just going to move this in a little bit so it's a lot easier for you to see. Reach over here, get my screwdriver. Okay, so we know that that is the front, we know that that is the top of the box, and we know we're building upside down. So we've got that closest to the ground. Now we want the edge, which is flush, down to the ground to match the front. And then we've got our first side ready to put on. I'm just going to pop a screw in and I'll show you what we're doing. So these fit in nice and close together. So nice and tight, which gives you the nice 90-degree angle. Okay, and I've just popped in a couple of screws there now. And as you'll see, we've got a nice joint coming there now. I'll just add the other 3 handles on there now in a second. Just pop you back over here. So you can see there. So yeah, just going to tilt it around a little bit. Obviously you don't need to do this when you're building it, but it's just for you to see. So we're just going to pop these 3 screws in. Okay, now let's just twiddle this around a bit. And probably move that around a little bit so you can see what's going on. Now I'm going to get to the other side. I've got my flush side there, so I'm going to put that closest to the ground, pop that on. Just pop those screws in, top and bottom. Make sure they're nice and tight, but not over tightened too much. Okay, that's great. So now what we're going to do is pop the next piece in. So this is going to be the back of the box. I'll explain why we're doing that in a second. So we're just going to slot that in. If I just move that around a bit. So we're just going to slot that in over to there. He says confidently with one hand. And then I'm going to come back to this side here. And just move this in a little bit so you can see. Around to here. So now this is our back edge. Pretty well holds together. Just tap it in, make sure it's all nice and tight. And we're just going to screw that up. That's lovely. Slide this box around just for you to see. Normally you wouldn't have to do that. So we've got our 5 screws here. Just, make sure, we don't want to be attaching the box, obviously, like that. Do you know what I mean? Where there's an overhang coming out of it. It needs to be nice and just tapped in. So it's nice and clean edge on it, okay? So let's just put that there for a second. Just put these in. So again, just making sure we're all nice and tight. Okay, great. Now we have the basis of our box there. So all the sides are in. I'm going to spin it around a little bit now. So we've got the back facing us, so that's fine. Just obviously don't forget, the front is, you're going to see that upside down, but we've got the Velcro on there. Let's see if I do that, so I'm probably on a better angle. Yeah, so we're still building this box upside down. So now we're going to attach the feet on to the box here now, okay? What I'm going to do is leave you quite close up so you can have a little look what I'm doing here. So we've got 5 feet. They're all ready to go. They fit in there beautifully, obviously. So we just screw that in there. Before I touch the second part of the foot, I just want to make sure the box is nice and square. So again, if I come back a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. I've got my little tri-square on there. Yeah, that's looking lovely. And tri-square there, just make sure that we're looking nice and square. That's looking pretty good, okay. Now if you haven't got the tri-square, you can actually place the lid on there and just make sure the lid is sitting lovely and square, but it should be pretty well there. Okay. So just give you a little bit of space there. So I'm just going to screw this foot on now. So they just sit right above the supports for the front and the back, where it's got the letter on. That's halfway. here now because I'm at this side anyway, so where's my tape measure gone? Up here. So as it says in the instructions, we've got the 17.5 centimetres here. So let's place that in 17.5, like a little bit. The other 2 feet on now. Just those over there. Just going to wander around to the other side. So you can see what I'm doing. I'll just go over there. That's lovely. So we're just going to pop the last 2 feet on. To make sure that the actual box is square here, because before you put these feet on, because once these feet are on, then it's pretty rigid then, so you won't be able to adjust it afterwards. So just make sure that's correct. Okay, so I'm just going to measure 17.5 centimetres in, which is there and there. I'm happy with that. Foot in. Move slightly over, so just adjust like that. Okay, so those feet will keep the box raised off the ground a little bit. Will protect the wood. Okay, so you might need a hand here to flip this box over. So it's not too bad. Okay, so there we have our box up the right way for the first time. So we can see there, that's the front there. All the edges are looking nice and flush because we've built it upside down. And now what we're going to do is put the handles in. Now I'm going to try and be clever here and just move this forward and move this down a little bit. There we are. So you can see what I'm doing with the handles. Okay. Now if you notice with the handles, the screws are actually on an angle. So the hole's been drilled in that direction. So they go in a little bit there, and you'll see on the back end, then they come out closer to the edge. That's just to make it easier for you to screw them in. So what we're going to do is butt them up against these supports here, like so, and then screw those in. We're going to put them in on the middle as well. So I'm just going to turn that around a little bit there for you, so you can see what I'm doing. So again, we've got the angled screws. They're just going to sit in there, like so. They should be nice and tight. Okay, I'm just going to screw those two in there. Come around this way a little bit. Then we're going to pop this one in by here. Good, just make sure it's nice and flush with the top. And then finally, move you around to there. Last but not least, last handle. Okay, so we have all 4 handles in. Oh, that's Bruno, by the way, and she's waiting for me to kick that ball, but she'll a long wait. Okay, so we've got the handles in there and on the end, and that's pretty well all sorted now. So now we're going to go and put the lid on the top. I'll be back in a second. Okay, so we've got our handles in. Got the first handle here, second, third, and then the fourth. So the 2 big recycling bags now will sit in here, and we'll use that shape there to capture the handle, which will go over the top of that, behind it, and the same with this one, and this one, and this one. I'll show you the bags going in before I finish anyway. So now what we're going to do is pop the handle on. Now we know that that is the front because it's got the Velcro on it, and obviously the well-known now F for front. Going to move my screwdriver out of the way. Okay, so I'm just going to turn this around so you can see a little bit better if we do that. Okay, so we're now going to put the lid on. So we've definitely worked out which is our front and the back, because obviously the Velcro is at the front. When you look at the lid then, obviously we've got the 2 hinges. So the 2 hinges go onto the back. Slide the lid on, watch your fingers, and we drop it down. Okay, so what we're looking for here is just to make sure that we're all on it properly. So I'm just going to lift my phone up so you can have a look. So we've got the hinge, which is obviously attached to the lid. That's sitting nicely there, going across to here, and then we can see the edge going around here. A little bit of a hangover on the front there, which is your handle to open the box. But that's all looking pretty good. So now we just got to pop in the 6 small screws that I showed you earlier for the lid, which I've got over there. Won't take you very long to do it. This will then secure the lid to the box, and then we are pretty well ready to rock and roll. And then we have it, job done. So I'm going to turn it around to the front here so you can see it. So we've got our lid attached now. That opens up nicely. Okay, welcome back guys. So we have now show you how to fit the recycling bag. Okay, so this is in Barbados. We have a blue one for plastic and tin. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure that the lid is right behind it. You don't want to be putting it in like that, because every time you come out then you want to do recycling, you've got to open the lid to do it. So tuck the lid behind when the bag's empty, it's a lot easier. And then we take the handle, we slip it over the wooden handle we've just popped in, like so. And that sits in there lovely. And then we put the same handle over this side. And that clips in just behind there. A bit awkward on this angle, so I'll do it that way. There we are. So we've got the sides attached and everything's looking nice there. And then don't forget we've got our little bit of Velcro down there, which is there. And we're just going to pop that up against that. And then that gives us our nice square shape for a recycling bag. So maybe a little rush that one a little bit. There we are, but it's looking pretty good. Okay, so the whole point is when you come in at night, you can just open the lid and drop the recycling in. Never have to wrestle on the floor with another bag. So then on this side, in Barry, we have a orange, what do you call it? So again, I'm going to make sure the lid is behind. Pop it in. Drop that over there, like that. That one in here like that. Just shift it at the back a bit, put that one on there. And then we have our orange and blue bags. Look at me with my stick here. Ready to rock and roll. So then you can just close the lid then and your recycling is out of the way from the weather, pets and everything else. So there we are, that's it. That's how easy it is to make one of these boxes. You've got my phone number on the instructions. If there's anything I can help you with, just give me a ring. But that's about it, guys. Not too difficult at all. Thank you very much. Bye now.